The Zone Coverage Podcast Network.
The Andy, Luke, and Reef Football Machine.
Autobots, transform! I like this kind of party!
Straight cash, homie.
Starts now.
Shit, man.
All right.
There you are.
Yeah. Check 1, 2. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4. Knocking on your door.
You're seeing him, right?
1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it's not that big a deal as long as it's recorded.
Let's roll.
Welcome back to Thunderdome for another Zone Coverage Football Machine, Zone Coverage Podcast Network. I'm your not so humble host, Andy Carlson, at Andy Carlson Show on the Twitter machine, and I have equity. More equity than Tommy Lahren dry cleaner.
Check, please. Can I get the tab, please?
Again, I will say don't throw water at people, but
Yeah,
this also would have worked better if it was like a gin and tonic or something.
Jeez,
no, gin and juice. Yes.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Please made that happen.
You know Snoop would be all over that.
Joining me, as always, Arifas. No, just kidding. He ain't here. He's late. He's late. He pulled the Yinka.
I want people to know how happy Yinka was that he was
I think we all were. You know, it's like the rooting for the underdog.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We're like, you can do it.
But Yinka, Ayende,
Yeah,
Saxy,
man.
Prince is here. What's going on?
Good, man. It's good to be here before a reef. I'm going to take this in stride.
Yeah, you got the Reef chair.
Yeah, the small victories in
Yeah,
life.
you got the hot corner.
Definitely. I feel good.
Yeah. Also, here is Luke_spin. Man, Luke Gimman.
Good.
2 weeks in a row. It's like Cal Ripken after the streak.
Dude, you get some momentum going here a little bit. You know what I mean? But good to be with my boys talking football.
Oh, yeah.
Had I mentioned Andy real quick before I jump out of a tangent. Bartending no longer at B-Dubs. I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast, the Football Machine podcast, out at Willie McCoy's in Bloomington, and sitting there pouring two brothers a beer, and he goes, "Are you Luke from the Football Machine?" I was like, "Whoa!"
Wow.
I reach my hand out. I go, "God damn it, I respect you. Yes, I am." What can I get you? Tabs on me. His name was Jared. I'm sure he'll be listening to both Hour 1 and Hour 2. Usually sounds like he can't listen to about 8:30.
Jared from Lino Lakes. How about that instead of Jared from White Bear
I
Lake?
told him to start calling in, but he usually can't make it in time, so he always checks it out. He gave Andy props for getting it out super quick right away after we record Hour 1.
Really good at
He's
hitting publish.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's kind of
If our computer wasn't from 2001, I could get it out even faster.
Computers from 01, and you're working with Microsoft Windows 98.
Yeah, it's
So,
a great
combo.
system.
But that was a good year, though.
Yeah,
it was a great
maybe
year.
not 95, but
Yeah,
90.
Windows 98 took it to the next level.
Good, man. Got that 98.
All right. So today we're talking a little bit of Vikings OTAs. Also, we actually make the guys do homework over the
Yeah,
over
we
the
had some
weekend.
little homework from the teacher.
Instead of NFL Network's Top 100, we're doing the Vikings Top 10. So
I think I messed mine up.
essentially what we did is we ranked 15 Vikings players, and then we just compiled the top 10. So we'll get into that second half.
It was
Hour
fun
1.
and a little trickier than anticipated because you got two guys that are new to the team. So I'll get into the details later when we get into it. But very fun.
Like people say, you can't judge Sheldon because he hasn't played it down yet.
Right. Well, yeah, you kind of can.
Sheldon.
Your rank cousin.
He's right. Same guy.
Follow Zone Coverage on Twitter at Zone Coverage MN. Subscribe, rate, review us on the iTunes as well. Also, zonecoverage.com. Become a subscriber. Be a cool person. And just be... For less than a price of a cup of coffee, you can get the best and the brightest insights. Also, reef stuff.
True. Which is also a thing.
Shade.
I'm just getting all the shade out before it gets here.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you do that to me when I'm gone?
Yep.
No, not really.
One goes, yeah. The other goes, no, not
to me,
really.
Yeah. All right, so get into Vikings news. Day 2 of OTAs are upon us. And, all right, so it's great that we have, like, football-ish type activities going on.
It's
but
a thing, yeah.
Like, the main things that I take away from OTAs is who's not there. So Anthony Barr, and also who got hurt.
Elfline.
Yeah,
Elfline
yeah, and people working off to the side doing rehab stuff, and who also got hurt. Look at Stacey Coley's. Look at the Everson Griffins of the world. But the thing to overreact. First team O-line, no Pat Elfline, no problem. Left to right, Riley Reif, Danny Isadora, Season, Nick Easton, Tom Compton, and Mike Remmers. Thoughts if that's with Elfline tossed in there, if that's the week 1 opening starting line?
I wouldn't be happy with that.
No. Well, I mean, it doesn't look great on paper right
No, it doesn't.
now.
And I think we've struggled for years with just plugging guys in and hoping that we're going to do well on the offensive line. Obviously, once you get offensive line play to about average, it really doesn't have as much effect, even if you go up the scale as far as offensive play and stuff. It's really those really bad offensive line that really start to affect the offense a little bit more so.
Only as good as your weakest link type of thing. And that really is true a lot of times when you're evaluating O-line. But Riley Reif, obviously the cornerstone there. Hopefully he can stay healthy again. Just a rock-solid acquisition. Danny Isadora, I think, and I was talking to our boy Steve about this the other day. Danny Isadora, I think they really like him more than we know. I think more than they're letting on. But I think you get the best bang for the buck of the value of the group if you can slide Remmers into guard. Even though I like his play at tackle, I think Rashad Hill is good enough, and also / Brian O'Neill could end up stealing some, or at least pushing him. Yeah. And I think, you get Remmers inside of one of those guard spots, and then a guy like Isadora, then all of a sudden doesn't look nearly as bad on paper.
I want there to be the ultimate wild card. Like, I want Aviante. That's Aviante Collins music. He just comes down to the ramp, grabs the chair, and just bashes Tony Sperano in the back of the head, starting right guard, right tackle.
Aviante 316.
Both spots.
I don't know why this made me think of this, but Browns are obviously on Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
I don't think it's likely with the Vikings, given that Zimmer likes to keep it pretty buttoned up.
Right.
How good of a Hard Knocks team would the Vikings be?
I think they'd be, hold
on. Tom, go let Reef in the front door.
Yeah, I'll go get him.
He's knocking on the front door.
I mean, I would go nuts because it's great to have that kind of coverage on your team, right? I mean, the coverage that you would get.
It'd be the Jake Winicki show.
Right.
Jake Winicki grew up watching the Minnesota Vikings from Maplewood.
And
or Maple Grove, or whatever.
What would be like his famous scene that they edited, make it cool, like him staying up for practice and throwing through a. Why are you throwing? First of all, throwing through like a tire swing,
slow motion, one-handed catch that he drops.
Right.
Yeah. But
I think it'd be fun for sure. But I'm trying to think of you need a few characters, the loudmouths, and you got Everson, who would be great. Yeah. But outside of that, do you think we're kind of
we have no swag right now.
There you go.
Well, we have story like
I couldn't say it.
Yeah, we don't have it. We don't have any
it would be
swag.
the Hercules Matafa show. It'd be a great story.
He had great college production, except he's 4 feet tall and 200 pounds. We now follow linebacker, defensive end, defensive tackle, safety, Hercules Mataafa.
Into the hot tub.
Although Zimmer, when he was on Hard Knocks those 2 times, he was the star. Like,
dude,
he was the all-star.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I'm sitting here trying to think of who's got swag on our team, and it's like, you know what? At the end of the day, it's a lot of coach.
Yeah, it is a lot.
It's a lot of the actual film is about your coaching staff, really. Yeah. And I love our coaching staff.
Yeah,
I mean, Zim, obviously.
I think JDF is going to bring like a good
JDF.
personality.
Adam Zimmer, I feel like low key would
be solid. Jerry Gray, I think would be great.
Fantastic.
With Adam Zimmer, the apple doesn't fall from the tree.
Right.
In cover 1, go get your effing guy.
Yeah. Obviously, George Edwards, pretty vanilla, not much there, but you're getting all that with Zim. And then I love Andre Patterson, too. Who doesn't? So just to get those guys exposure, I think would be really cool. Who's a non-starter player that you actually think would get a lot of airtime because of, not even necessarily because of anything, talking, play, something he does outside the field? I think Mac Alexander would continue to get a lot of
Richie Incognito.
Because Mac talks a lot. And Mac talks a lot. Very entertaining.
Seats taken.
He's going to be in a battle, too, for corner if they end up leaving Mike Hughes at nickel, which I don't think they will. But nonetheless, he could be a kind of maybe wild card to do that. Treadwell, I bet you, would low-key get a lot of attention, too.
He'll just mean mug the camera the entire time.
It'd be a lot of like daddy-daughter stuff off the field and stuff. Can't you see it, though?
And now you see Laquan Treadwell running the stairs yet again.
Right.
Stop doing that.
Show's over.
Arif's on in the house, rocking the Seattle Supersonics.
Ooh,
swag
let's
shirt.
see it, dude. That's Sean Kemp style. Gary Payton and Sean Kemp. Yeah, dude. That NBA Jam, one of the best teams ever in NBA Jam was Kemp and Payton on that.
My favorite player
team.
from those teams, Detlef Schrempf.
Yeah.
Rockets.
Did he play for the Rockets?
I think
Elijah and him.
I think he might have played for the Vancouver Grizzlies. I need to look this up, but
no. Did you guys ever watch Parks and Rec? Because Detlef Schrempf had like a 2-episode arc on that.
They did. It was when Tom had he got a stupid amount of money with his best friend, and they spent so much money they brought in Detlef Schrempf.
What does this business do? Shop Detlef and shoot free throws.
Detlef Schrempf, Mavericks, Pacers, Sonics, Blazers.
Pacers, that was it.
Assistant coach with the Sonics.
No, him on the Pacers with Reggie Miller and Rick Smits.
Yeah, Rick Smits.
Also Mark Jackson before he was an a-hole. Well, in the process
Before
of
we
being an
knew,
a-hole.
yeah.
Also, I gotta give you props on the shirt because it's not like a modern day reprint because like the logo is cracking.
Yeah.
That's old school.
Yeah, I love
those
it.
are the ones you want, the vintage, like the authentic ones.
I actually went into. I was just doing regular clothes shopping at a thrift store. You know, like the money
like
writers at Zone Coverage.
like
do.
Vikings fan Macklemore.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I think he was just a Vikings fan for an ad. I think that's all that was.
It was bogus, but that is a write-off, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, I'll write it off. But yeah, and so I was looking at like Vikings shirts, and like this one was like right next to it, and I was like, well, I know the one shirt I'm going to purchase today with the $2 that I have.
Yep,
It's got to be this one.
Did you haggle? Are you allowed to haggle at thrift shops? I feel like you should.
I feel like they should let you, but like I can't imagine anybody having the power to what cashier is going to be like, yeah, I'm sure that'll fly.
I think you have the hanger. You're like, I want $1, or the shirt goes.
It's weird.
That's not haggling. That's threats.
It's how I haggle.
Just yelling loudly.
It's power haggling.
Power hag. Is that a cane? Just adds to the whole power move, dude.
Since we're on thrift shops, it's weird. Like Goodwill, like everything's like $5. It's like I thought this was supposed to be a thrift shop.
Right.
What kind of racket you running here, Goodwill?
Right.
Sell it to you for $6.
No, like maybe they keep it that high so like jabroni suburban kids trying to do Halloween costumes stay away.
True. Because rag stock's the place.
Well, I was about to say, do you think all the prices in store increase like 15 days before Halloween or something?
It has to. It's also funny that they have new Halloween stuff in there.
Also, how many dinette sets do people have? Because they're all at Goodwill. But anyways, Arif, talk about OTAs. Do you have any takeaways from how's Kirkland?
To answer that last question about like, I think Jaleel Johnson would be a good personality. In the locker room.
Personality. Oh, just a locker room in general.
Oh,
We're just a non-starter.
Hard Knocks.
Oh.
We were thinking about like a non-star. Who's a non-starter?
Oh, it sucks that Rodney Adams is gone then, huh?
Yeah, Rodney.
Yeah, he would have been
Or
perfect.
Antoine
I still
Exum
follow
was
him.
probably-
You follow him on Instagram?
Although-
He's Rodney.
Nah.
He's a character.
Jack Tocha would be good.
Tocho would be good.
Yeah.
I was thinking
whether
Matt,
we
kind
could
of an
play
easy
all
one.
9 of his instruments at the same time.
They would definitely. This is definitely like a Hard Knocks thing where they would find out about Stephen Weatherly, focus on him for an episode, and then just gradually stop focusing.
I think what you do is drop Cluey in on a special teams meeting. The reunion.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is part of the settlement. I'm here. Hey, Mike. Heard any good jokes lately? Knock, knock, mother.
Knock, mother.
All right, but back to football. So Michael Kendricks, cut by the Eagles on Tuesday, and of course all of the takes, chemistry between the brothers. 27-year-old was in the midst of a 4-year, $28 million deal. Was PFF's 9th graded outside linebacker in general last season, and blah 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 blah.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's good, but I don't think he'll sign here since the Vikings already have two really good three-down
I
linebackers.
don't know why he wouldn't sign with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he won't have to change his state income tax.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to move. They have an enormous hole at linebacker. Because right now they're starting Tyler Matakevich. Like, that's awful.
Dude from Temple we saw at Senior Bowl a few years ago.
Scooby Wright the Fourth.
Scooby Wright the Fourth. That's right. Yeah.
I didn't know Scooby Wright was even in the league still.
Yeah, he's with Arizona.
What?
I mean, they're like the same player. They're super smart. They can read offenses really well. They understand all the parts of their defense, and they just can't like move.
Yeah, like I understand people.
So really, how much are you downgrading from Ryan Shazier? Let's. Well, I'm just they probably move at the same speed now.
Wow.
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 I'm gonna let that one hang.
Yup.
Wait, so Andy can say whatever he wants.
No, Andy thought of it. Andy thought of it and was like, thank God you jumped on that one.
I know where the line is, Arif, and I walk the line. I'm Johnny Cash up in here. So Kendricks, Michael, I understand the sentiment. It'd be great to add him. You know, the whole hashtag chemistry with the brother thing. But
Is there chemistry between them?
No.
Have they ever played together?
There's so much chemistry between
They went
Eric.
to different colleges, right?
Yeah.
I'm just like even in like high school.
Yeah, there's so much chemistry between Michael
Probably
and Eric
played
that
together in high school.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, they played together in high school. But I looked up. Eric didn't even get an offer from Cal, where Michael was a stud at that time. It's like,
Wow.
All right, we get it. But I think he'll go somewhere where he can start, actually get snaps, actually get paid a little. I don't think that will be here in Minnesota.
Is there something wrong with the internet at the studio?
Mine was
It's
super
not-
slow
not
right away.
great.
Yeah.
It's okay.
However, it is not
Budget
cold
cuts.
in here anymore.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah. But thoughts on Michael?
Yeah, he'd be great to add. I think there are teams that like need linebackers, and so they'll pay more.
But he
and
can
I
play
don't
with his brother.
want to be involved in a bidding war like that. I mean, it would be really
He
cool.
can screw the Eagles.
I don't.
I mean,
that
yeah, the
motivated
chemistry.
by
I mean,
that.
yeah, I think that would be super cool too. And I think it's enticing for a guy like that to come play with his brother, but more so a Mike Zimmer defense. But how much of a discount do you take to come play for a Mike Zimmer defense,
But if he
or
takes
like
the
a
veteran
Super Bowl
minimum,
team?
Yeah.
Right,
But
Well, but also
all
think-
these guys are going to take vet minimums. What was he
also,
do to get
also
paid?
think about this.
7.
So the Vikings have to offer him an amount of money that fits under the salary cap, which is now a little bit easier. Thanks, Brian Robinson.
Such a team guy.
But right, then they also have to be like, okay, so I know you've been a starting quality linebacker for 4 years, and you've had to stay on the bench for like 3 of them unless someone's gotten injured.
Could you come
We'd
in?
like you to do that again. Like what?
Here's your new position coach, Mike Prefer. Yeah, because I know everyone's like, well, he'll just start over Gideon, but it's like Gideon was getting like maybe 22% of the snaps.
Yeah, it's not that many. Yeah, it's
Which is
I mean,
just his
gonna
role
have
anyways.
He's going to have a limited role in anything that's going to take away from the development of a guy like McKinney Alexander or Mike Hughes, which is what you don't want because that's where the team is leading towards is being a nickel majority of the time.
I was going to say, I really don't even think that's that much of a knock on Gideon.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it ended up folding out.
Now, as Anthony Barr stays away from OTAs, and then Zimmer has something snarky to say, what if it's leverage?
wait. Did he say
did
something
that?
snarky?
I don't
thought he was
know.
just like, I'm not
Did
going
that
to talk
happen?
about
It's
it.
just Zimmer. I just assume he's going to say something snarky. But say negotiations with the bar are at a standstill, and the market is a little bit softer on Michael than we all expect. Bring him in. Leverage ploy. Come on.
Hashtag leverage. That would be weird.
Is Kendricks would that even be leverage for Anthony Barr?
Yeah, Anthony Barr's like, okay.
Because they don't need him, right? If they don't need him, then they can negotiate him down, and he can't hurt the team by holding out. Like, that's Anthony Barr's leverage, being able to hurt the team by holding out.
Yeah.
If they just brought a guy in that's a starting quality guy that inherently has chemistry with his brother, because that's how it works, I guess.
Yes.
Exactly how it works.
Anthony Barr doesn't have any leverage, which means that it's leverage for the Vikings.
So what you're saying is we should build a super team with all the Matthews siblings and cousins and stuff.
But we already tried Casey Matthews, and that did not work out.
I remember that.
Oh,
That was
back in the day.
fun.
So I don't think you can. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess if you got Jake and Clay, that'd be okay. But
I feel like there should be another Kendricks brother.
I mean, it probably is. What if he's just not good at football?
Lamar Kendricks. He's a Yas flute major. no knock on the Yas flute.
What, Arif? What do you think? Anthony Barr, give me a window. Is going to end up getting paid?
Actually,
what's
probably
kind of
how
the
much he's
ballpark
getting.
that we're looking at?
My guess is he's going to get paid as much as he's getting paid now, but which is about $12 million, I think.
That's what I'm
but
thinking.
longer
12?
term, and with like guaranteed money in it.
Right.
Yeah, I think it gets about 12. I think
Yeah,
he gets
sounds
a smidge
about right.
over Kendricks. And all right, so B-Rob restructured.
Yep.
It was super interesting that he restructured to less than what would have been dead against the cap if the Vikings just straight up cut him. So
really,
team player, saving the Vikings about $2 million.
I was like really surprised because
Yeah,
I thought he I thought it was going to be more. If we're not going to talk about leverage, I thought he had more leverage, and I thought he was just going to be like, well, either
I'm out, deuces,
I can just retire. I'm like pretty happy with my lot. Or I can come back, and you have to do something to make it okay for me to come back.
My question is, you guys seem to think he's just going to kind of disappear, right? He's going to end up like kind of living.
Yeah, he just took a $2 million pay cut.
Well, no. But my question
saying,
here,
like after football?
After football, yeah.
Oh, he's total Fisher, dude.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to
be like a coach. Like that. That's
No, I
my
don't
only
think
thought
he is.
there, like a front office job or something. Yeah.
No, he's not like Chad or anything. I think he just wants to fish, like actually.
Yeah. I mean, that would be my only thought is that he's doing the team a solid, thinking he's getting a job.
Also, of course, he knows his audience too. Is like, for me, he said, "quote For me, if that's something I've got to give back $2 million to do so to bring a championship to the state of Minnesota,
I think that's
I'll
actually
gladly do it."
I think that's probably it. I think he knows that the Vikings are close enough to a Super Bowl that he has a chance to be on a Super Bowl team, and he doesn't want to.
He's not going to bail out now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been through all this,
But he's
ups
the last.
and downs.
He's the last member of the 2009 squad.
Yeah, that's
So,
right. Yeah, the Leslie Frazier era,
suck.
the Chili, and now being one game away, from the Super Bowl last year. Such a magical season. Again, I don't know how much he's got left in the tank, but
he wants to get the three-peat of NFC title games.
Oh my God!
Can you imagine he leaves before the Super Bowl? He's like, "I've done what I need to do."
Now, I know the NFC winner gets the George Halas Trophy. What about the NFC loser?
I don't think
Did
they
I get
a
like
trophy.
the Wayne Fonts Trophy or something?
The participation trophy. I don't know.
Mark Sanchez.
Sanchez.
All right, so we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the giant pink elephant in the room. So Richie Incognito.
Richie.
Monday,
Not
the
being
soon to
very
be
incognito.
soon to be 35-year-old released from the Bills from the reserve retired list.
Yeah.
So he self-reported to be suffering from liver and kidney damage, even though he was down in Miami doing shots of Patron. No big deal. And also just today. He randomly got arrested.
Yeah.
For allegedly throwing a weight in a
tennis ball and then a weight.
I heard about it. I didn't know
twofer.
he actually got arrested.
Yeah. So
How do you just
Ordered
go
away.
from a tennis ball
so
to a
he's
weight?
been
Tossing water at Tommy Lee.
involuntarily.
Go ahead.
He's been involuntarily committed for a mental health evaluation under something called the Baker Rule, which has happened
Buddha
twice
rule.
in his career.
Yep.
This is being the second time.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I think it might be difficult for him to find a landing spot, which, I mean, is like the story of Richie Incognito, right? 'Cause he was, like,
If you just want a team
at
full of choir
Nebraska,
boys.
and then he wasn't at Nebraska, and then he was at Oregon, maybe?
Well, I think the other thing
am I
is
thinking of Kyle Long?
more football is not
Kyle
going to
Long.
help him if he has mental issues. Like it just won't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And like he more needs.
Maybe you're
some
saying
support.
maybe some of those are repercussions because of playing football.
Well, or just that would not help. Like at the very least, we
It's not
can
gonna
handle
help
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, there's always a fine line for me when it comes to people excusing behavior for mental health issues, or at some point, I mean, a dude's just an asshole.
Well, or he should seek help. Like you know what I mean? Like address the issue.
Yeah.
It can be both,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
See, I feel like Richie Incognito was an asshole who also has some mental problems.
Right, yeah, and I think it exacerbates them.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm like, none of us are qualified professionals unless one of you is slumming it at this podcast.
I mean, with my limited experience in music therapy and whatnot, and psych is, I had a lot of clients who did have mental health issues and whatnot. A lot of the, I guess, pervasive behavior for them was typically against themselves. And, I had a client who would typically, bang his head against the forehead or bang his forehead against the blackboard. So obviously, I would have to do multiple things to even get him away from the blackboard, even if that's something that we're working on.
So you played some Kenny Loggins.
No,
Not Kenny G.
He was
Kenny Loggins.
he was a very good drummer. So we had to use a lot of like experiential type things where, speech became a thing for him. So we just got him getting in the rhythm of being able to speak, the same way that he drummed consistently. And then anytime that he wanted to, hurt himself in and of itself, just showing him the kind of the ramifications of whatnot, creating. We had music creation lists that we would do. We would do kind of like little like song lyric replacement stuff. Just let him know why, hurting himself was so dangerous not only to himself but just like the people that he cared about and whatnot. And working with people who are young as well as quite a bit older. I mean, you still see like there are times where they understand it. Like he would tell me, like, I know this is wrong, and I don't know why I do it. But then towards the end of full length of sessions that we would have, he just like, this is why it was wrong, and I'm glad that we were able to kind of go through that. So that's a music therapy lesson for y'all if you needed it.
I was always curious how that
Gave
worked.
us no insight into Richie Incognito.
He needs to take up the flute.
Oh well, I mean, obviously.
Now with Incognito,
But he has to acknowledge that, you know, obviously what he's doing is a problem.
yeah.
But
Right,
which
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, he's probably not going to, considering his environment.
He looks like Chris Farley on steroids. He does.
He does.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yes, that's a good one.
On my YouTube video about Richie Incognito, I said something paraphrasing to the effect of, "Yeah, white guys probably shouldn't say the N-word," and you would not believe how many times I got actually'd about that.
I can actually. I bet I do believe.
My
many times.
my mentions were a mess this week when I had said that. I got so many unfollows. And
I have a very low bar when it comes to people who I would like on my football team. Like, don't hit women, don't cause harm to women or children, and don't be a non-black guy who uses the N-word. That's it.
It's
That
also
is
weird
it.
when your teammates are black people.
Yeah,
Like,
80%
what are you thinking?
And like, I had this guy to mention this week, and he was just like, he's just like, what made you? Someone posted, and he's like, what made you think that Richie Incognito was a problem in the locker room? And I'm just like,
what?
I'm like, #racist asshole, and he's just like, why did you bring race into it? Incognito did. It's like, what?
Also,
Wow, Yinka, always playing the race card when someone says something racist.
also, Jonathan Martin's subsequential actions do not excuse Richie
well,
Incognito's
okay, yeah,
actions
so
in 2015.
that's definitely like another thing, right? It's
Right,
like
it's a
so
layer
someone
of
was
it.
like, oh, now that we know more about Jonathan Martin, maybe this like absolves someone. It's like, no, it absolutely doesn't. In fact, it makes it worse. Like he just aggravated this dude's like clearly significant mental health problems, and like and this guy's like breaking down, and Incognito is like pushing him further and further and further. Like, I mean, I'm not saying like Incognito clearly didn't cause any of the mental health issues that Jonathan
But
Martin
he
had.
definitely did not make it better.
Well, he clearly made it worse.
Yeah.
Like it's like that's like a thing. And then he called the masseuse with the Miami Dolphins a bunch of racist names. So like even if you're like, oh, you know what, the black people he knows say it's okay for him to use it, that makes it okay for me, which is just like a really
Mike Pouncey is the delegate for the African American.
right, exactly. Really awful argument. Which Asian gave him like license to call Andy?
I will say
Andy.
it wasn't me. It was Ted Wynn.
It's Ted Wynn. Now employed at the Athletic, right?
Yeah.
So look into that, Athletic.
Whenever you're ready.
But yeah, it's like for every like action that he has that you found some stretch of an excuse for, there's like 4 others that you can have no account for.
But of course, I love when people bring this out when
He's been like kicked off of every team he's been on.
they're trying to defend a football player. They're like, ye without sin cast the first stone. All right, I'm throwing rocks. Don't care.
It's just like, is Richie Incognito the hill that you want to die on as far as defending NFL
Also,
players?
he might be bad.
Yeah, most 35-year-old players are. Aren't they?
With reported internal like organ failure.
Like, Odell Beckham Jr. was supposed to be the diva that the Vikings could not afford to bring up.
Or Marcus Peters.
Under no circumstances.
God, yeah, right.
Right?
You think Brian O'Neill looks a little bit? He's got a little bit of
Is that what you've been doing this whole time, Luke?
It is what it is.
Yeah. Really took me way too long to find that picture, though, of
O'Neal could be actually
a little bit of him,
I don't
though?
think. No, I don't think so. I
Richie
think
could be
O'Neal's got too
O'Neal's
strong a
dad.
job.
Yeah, he is.
Nothing?
No, I don't see it.
Richie could be O'Neal's dad. I bet you he got after it as a 15-year-old.
Whoa.
It's possible.
Wow.
You never know.
We have had 2 wild moments on this podcast.
I say if you're
Yeah,
gonna,
but we're moving past this one.
Are we, though?
I say if you're gonna try and bring back a 35-year-old interior offensive lineman, just go see what Berger's up to.
the future of the.
I mean, Berger already told them that he wasn't coming back.
Yeah, but
so.
like double his salary. Be
Do
like,
you
"What's
think?
up?"
Do you think you could probably? I think you could bring Berger out of retirement.
Unless he's lost 60 pounds.
Where is he living? Where do you have to fly the plane to?
Upper Michigan, probably.
Oh yeah, you just drive a van.
Seaplane.
Give them the FAR treatment.
You have to take a
Everybody
seaplane
pile
and
in.
land it on land, and then ride a wolf in to get to Joe Berger's Upper Michigan house. Yeah.
Swing by Michigan Tech, pick up some gear to
Also, swing by My Burger because they're awesome. Family owned, obsessed over since 2004. The greatest burgers in the world. Serving made-to-order burgers, hand-pressed to perfection. Burgers that are made fresher, taste better. It's kind of odd how that happens. Kind of weird. They feature hand-dipped malts also, locally baked gluten-free buns, salads, sweet potato fries, and also My Burger serves various craft beer because beer, burger, it goes together like Richie Incognito and not the Vikings. There you go. 5 Twin Cities locations, including Stadium Village, Richfield, Calhoun, Skyway, Minneapolis, and Mac Grove. Land calls homebodies, but we like it's local. No shame. Ordering online, seconds, myburgerusa.com. Plus, if you become a subscriber, a glorious member of our G unit, get a free My Burger gift card, good for a free burger when you become a member. So hit that up, myburgerusa.com. So Teddy's going to start for the Jets. Calling it now. He's got to beat out 49-year-old Josh McCown and Beavis. That's it.
Is that
I don't think he will.
His greatest threat was traded to the Raiders.
Beavis?
Beavis.
That's good. There you go.
Beavis, dude.
No, I don't think he will. But
You don't think Teddy will
that would be dope.
win out the job? Is that what
No,
you're
because
saying?
it's not a true competition.
No, I know. I was curious. I was just clarifying if that's what you were saying.
Yeah, no, I think they've already decided.
If you're a Jets fan, do you want him to start? I'm sorry, Sam Darnold to start right away?
Yeah.
No, if I'm a Jets fan,
Like I'd be really
I don't want. If he was on my team, I wouldn't want.
I don't.
I feel like Jets fans generally are more happy when the team is headed toward a 5-11. I honestly think that.
They'd be like, if I wanted to root for a good team, I'd root for the Giants.
Right? No, honestly, I feel like some fan bases, maybe the Vikings have a little bit of this too, where it's like we just like to bitch about.
They're
things.
more comfortable there.
Yeah.
It's just
I'd say you're generally right, but last year kind of disproved that a little bit. People were super excited for that.
Eagles and Jets fans, I think are very similar. Eagles. I feel like Eagles are more interested in a 6-10 Andy Reid team as opposed to a 10-6 Andy Reid team. I really do.
Right.
So I could see.
I'm going to put that bad take aside.
Yeah.
I bet Jets fans want to win. But
You think so?
No, they're still shining that Super Bowl III ring.
But no, I think if I'm a Jets fan, I would want Teddy to win the job because if you believe in Sam Darnold, at the end of that season, if Teddy has anything, which would be great,
you can flip him.
you can flip him, or if Teddy's really that good, you can flip Darnold later, the Patriots have been doing and how the Eagles kind of did.
Or just, God forbid, roll with 2 good quarterbacks for another year. You know what I mean? What? Yeah, right?
That's not a Jets thing to do. What? They kept Bryce Petty and Hackenberg around for a long time.
Good gravy. Yeah. Now John Gruden's going to be running those spider two-eye bananas with Hackenberg. Oh, my gosh.
I like how they cherry-picked his Gruden quarterback
a conditional 7th-round pick, sorry.
With Hackenberg and Connor Cook and David Carr. It was see? This is pathetic. He said nice things about him. He said nice things about every single quarterback that came through. Everybody.
I do like it, though.
I love Can you imagine his pressers? He's just never negative. Be but he dropped 3 key catches.
Apparently, he's already being an asshole to all the players, which is his thing. He was in Tampa Bay.
Yeah. He's going to flip a switch now that he's coach.
Way different as a coach than he was.
He's going to be completely different.
Which is super funny to me because he's the most insanely positive analyst.
Right.
And an enormously negative coach.
How many times is he going to ask Brett Favre to come in and just talk to the team?
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Right? Because he's obsessed with
Mark
Brett
Cooper,
Favre.
man. You got to be more like Joe Juravicious.
There was a real grinder.
We need more all-stud up the gut. Where's Zach Crockett? Get him back here.
So if they win, is he going to give off his Gruden grinder at the in the
I
locker
hope so.
room?
I think that would be my favorite.
He throws away the game ball and picks up a sandwich and is okay, now to award the Gruden grinder to someone, and he gives it to some random offensive lineman who didn't play a snap.
I still love that they're going to fire him within 4 years, and they gave him
and pay the $60 million right away.
Such a Raiders
$1/10 of $1 billion. It's better when you say it like that.
And you're absolutely right. I think that would be my number one go-to for Hard Knocks, just because I think.
I
would
think
be so
first year in
entertaining.
Vegas for sure. It's happening. Right?
Oh yeah,
Is it?
right.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Have to.
Oh,
right?
that would be amazing. I didn't even think about.
There's at least like
the
3
Vegas
players
angle.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, you weren't at practice. You were hurting. We saw you in the strip club. It's on Hard Knocks.
What's the stamp on your hand? Dude?
It's the hospital admission. Vegas is weird. Even the hospitals.
Can you imagine like 11 guys that know they're getting cut try to like steal from a casino?
I would love to see just like the most incompetent Ocean's 11.
Yes.
Starring like 11 players that know they're getting cut.
Ocean's
Donald
13.
Penn,
Yeah.
the ringleader.
Actually, I like Ocean's 13. Donald Penn
I
would,
like
would
them all.
rob. Yeah,
Ocean's 12, I think.
I like Ocean's 8's going to be good too.
I'm looking
different
forward
director,
to it.
though.
I think
Yeah.
I think Ocean's 12 was the worst one.
I would say so.
I
The
think it's
only
the least
reason
we're
I
gonna
liked
do.
it is because it was based in Amsterdam, and you got the whole Europe thing. And
Yeah, but you're an international traveler. Like,
it's
that's
not a big deal, dude. Thanks for bringing that on there. Here's your cut.
I thought that one had some of the best one-liners. Like,
True.
Do you think I look 50? Do I look 50? Yeah, but only from the neck up.
And I did appreciate the whole she looks like Julia Roberts.
Yeah, that bit was good.
That was good, but I think overall the movie was whatever.
Darcy left her SpongeBob blanket over there. When do you want me to go pick that up?
My favorite line from the movie is like, get that phone away from her. It's like pointing a loaded gun at the baby's head.
Yeah.
I'm Bruce Willis.
You know what?
All right, so that was your mandatory Teddy minute. Smooth segue, kickoff rule change. So they neutered the kickoff even more. It happens.
Maybe
4 rules, and then we'll get your reactions. Kickoff team can only line up 1 yard from the kickoff point, 35-yard line. No more
So
running start.
running start.
No more wedge blocks. No blocking until the ball is touched or hits the ground, which will be roughly around the returning team's 45-yard line. And 4, if the ball hits the end zone, automatic touchback. There we go.
So, and the additional rules kind of separate out like 2 players outside the numbers, 2 players
there's
between the numbers and the
They got to be in
hashes.
the zone.
And so, Tariq Cohen mentioned that it's going to make kickoff returns a lot more like punt returns.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the stuff I've been looking at, they think it'll make kickoffs more dynamic.
Yep.
Which would be interesting if you can find a way to make kickoffs have a wider range of outcomes, including the exciting ones like the touchdowns and long returns, while also making them safer.
You have to do more pump fake ones where the guy pretends he's catching it and it's over on the other side of the field.
That's going to be difficult because you can only have 3 people behind the 15-yard line.
Damn it, let it bounce.
Yeah.
You wonder if maybe that's why, because people were doing that. I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not.
But yeah, you can. So you have 8 people on the return team up like within like 10 yards, I think, or 15 yards of the kick, and then the other 3 people can be back there, and that's it.
They should make it more exciting. 1 lateral mandatory on every return.
That'd be fun. It would massively increase fumble rate, which would be fun.
But it's about the safety of the
Right.
game.
But yeah, this might be a solution that could increase safety. I don't know, and it could make things more dynamic. Again, I don't know, but it would be fun. The next question is: does this, if this is all true, does this collapse the kick return and punt return positions? Because catching a punt is still way different and way difficult, but maybe because it's a little bit more like a punt, the skills translate better if you're a punt returner. And maybe now punt returners and kick returners have the same set of skills.
So what you're saying is Marcus Sherrills is going to be a Viking forever.
Yeah. Until he's 45.
Yep.
Come out and play. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
I was going to say that, the point as far as seeing a lot more dynamic plays that you're happening on the kickoff is because of the fact that, guys don't get that running start. They can obviously, I guess, what I'm trying to say, like wedge the kick returner to a certain side of the field,
Like
or whatever.
funnel the kick
funnel it to where they want to. I mean, that becomes a lot harder. Which a guy like Cordero Patterson, who you say if you give him a little bit of wiggle room, he will be able to do a lot more. And like guys like Tariq Cohen and whatnot. But we'll see how it goes.
Do you guys think the kickoff will be around in 5 years?
Ooh, 5 years.
I think probably not.
Probably not. It's because after the CBA, I think they're probably going to just like.
I like the idea of the onside kick being replaced with like a 4th and 10 from X yard line. And if you make it, you get the ball.
I
or
like
4th
it.
and 20 or whatever.
Yeah, I like that.
What's the really obscure rule? I don't know if they still have it, where it's like, it's not quite a kickoff, but you can like, it's almost like a kickoff, but you can potentially make it into like the field goal or whatever.
Oh, like a drop kick?
Yeah. What's that? What's that? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I know, but Doug Flutie did it.
Yeah, it's just
hilarious.
a drop kick.
Yeah.
And then you could get points off of that, correct?
Yeah.
Randomly,
It's still in the rule book, I think.
for some reason, I yesterday I had to watch Sebastian
It has to hit the
Janikowski's
ground.
76-yard attempt like 10 times in a row.
That's
It's just hilarious. I love that. But we'll talk about the ejection rule and then also the new anthem rule. Toss that to hour 2 because we got to talk about our Vikings top 10. So first off, the jabroni. We don't care about the NFL top 100. Just kidding. Why is our guy so low? List. 51 through 60 revealed on Monday. Xavier Rhodes clocking in at 55. He joins Stephon Diggs, who's at 65. Linval, 83. Too low. Kirk Cousins, 94. Too low. And then also the cherry on top, the cliffhanger. Case Keenum, 51. Come on down. P51 Spitfire. Let's go.
I don't care.
Too high.
I used to care, and the only reason I don't care is because there's been no movement towards trying to make it more accurate.
No, it's
like I would continue to care if they like were willing to try and like make it a little bit better in some way, either expand the voting pool because not a ton of players get pulled for this every year, or like more clearly define what they want the players to vote for. Like, who do you think will be the best?
Remember Charles Clay made it when
or whatever.
yeah. Do you know how many people they do poll? I mean, is it?
It's not a ton, apparently. I don't know how many it is, but it's not a ton.
And then also,
I think the first year they did it, they only got like 20 players.
Yeah.
Just
and
insane.
then, do they interview just the players that do the poll, or not even that many?
I have no idea. I think all the players that get interviewed probably voted.
Okay.
All right, Tom, bring up some music, just some Ram stuff. There are 50 players left. Adam Thielen, Anthony Barr, Harrison Smith, Everson Griffin. Potentially could be in there. Who do you think makes it?
Adam Thielen will. I think Griffin
Thielen will.
Yeah.
Harrison Smith will.
Harrison Smith.
I think those
Everson,
are your two
yeah
right
or not?
there.
Yeah, I think he will. I think he will. I think he will. I think it'll be soon.
I think people will remember the sack streak.
Yeah. Barr, yeah or not?
No. If he was going to be, he would have been introduced.
Well,
Yeah,
I feel like that with Everson. I feel
Nice.
like, but maybe what was Everson last year?
Maybe a jam.
That's
Not
a
jams,
good-looking
but,
question.
Streets.
Yep.
I would
a
laugh
good
if
game.
Adam Thielen got skunked.
game.
It's like,
That would be hilarious.
what's a guy got to do? Huh?
Yeah. Was Everson on it last year?
Yeah, he was.
He was for sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
he was, yep.
All right, but
Was Limbo on it last year?
he was not.
That's
He was
the
not.
one.
Yeah,
Limbo.
yeah, he debuted.
All right, so
Number
those tackles
92
just don't make
last
it.
year, Everson Griffin.
Yeah. So really, so
low.
everything
I mean,
sucks.
Yeah, and then we're at what 50s?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It might not be on
Who do you
there.
think's going to be one? It's got to be Brady.
Tom Brady.
Carson Wentz.
Oh, God, kill me.
Carson Wentz checks in at like 24.
Sorry, man. Yeah, right.
Did you see that they restructured Nick Foles' deal?
They did. I
Yeah.
did see that.
Yeah, they gave him like $250,000 bonuses for every game he starts.
That's funny. I like that.
Something we also like is so we did up a top 10, and what we did is have the guys rank up a top 15, and then we made a composite list. Beep, bop, 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 boop. Some hilarious ones. So Mike Remmers and Sendejo, and also just the general right guard spot. They got votes. It's kind of funny.
Yep.
Kyle Rudolph fell out of the top. Actually, let's go through the top 15. So Kyle Rudolph clocked in at 15, Dalvin 14, Elfline at 13, Sheldon at 12.
Y'all voted for Kyle Rudolph?
I didn't.
He's low. We'll talk about it. But basically, it's a top 11. There's a big separation between Barr at 11 and Sheldon Richardson at 12. But let's get into the top 10. So at number 10. Eric Hendricks, the $50 million man, coming in. 26 consensus points, 1 point more than Anthony Barr at 25. Why do you guys say Anthony Barr?
I had Anthony Barr. I think I had Anthony Barr ranked. Yeah, I had Anthony Barr ranked higher than Eric.
So I had Kendricks at 9. Yinka had Kendricks at 10. Arif had Kendricks at 11, and then Luke Duke had Kendricks at number 8.
So pretty close. All of us right in that range.
So it's
there.
Luke's fault.
It is Luke's fault.
What happened?
No, I mean, the reason I had Anthony Barr above Eric Kendricks is because I think the way that he plays is more critical to the scheme. Even if Eric Kendricks is game to game or play to play, a better linebacker.
Yeah.
I think Anthony Barr has the ability to shut down screens and stuff like that from the middle of the field.
Yeah, because you had Barr at 7. I had him highest at 5. Yanka did not rank Anthony Barr.
I completely forgot about Anthony Barr.
Wait, no.
Shade.
No, that's hilarious.
So it is Yinka's fault.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this is like when Chris Carter was making like that top 5 wide receiver list, and he forgot Megatron.
Yeah. Oh.
And then he tried to defend it. He's like, I just don't think he's top 5.
Yeah. At least you just came out and were like, yeah, dude, I just kind of forgot.
This whole list is broken now.
Buckeyes for life. OH.
But I mean, even if I ranked him up, I'd probably put Anthony Barr I'd probably put him at like 8.
Say 15.
Yeah, but that would probably put him in the top 10.
It probably would.
Yeah.
But it would probably kick out. It probably would kick out either Reef or Kendricks.
Yeah.
Which I'm totally fine with.
It's all right. The list is tainted, but don't care because I'm not redoing the numbers. Number 9. Numero 9.
List is tainted.
Riley Reef coming in, 27 points. I was highest on him. I had him at 4. And why do
Yinka,
you guys...
you remembered Riley Reef, but not Anthony Barr. You
was-
remembered Mike Remmers?
It was very late.
You
when
got Remmers in there. Wow, you got Remmers in there. I had him at 10. I think that's the kind of general consensus. It feels like, kind of a go-to consistent left tackle, such an important position.
Yeah.
Not going to blow you away. Not going to make a ton of Pro Bowls, but again, so important to what we want to do, being able to run the football and protect your quarterback.
Yeah, the reason I had Reef so high is
Great
that
signing.
Just at that left tackle spot, it might just be, since we survived Khalil and Clemmings, just having
Seriously, some consistency.
above average, solid, dependable play at that left tackle spot. He really is Iowa. He's like the ham, where it's like you'll never be wowed by a ham, but ham also has a very low floor.
High floor.
Yeah, that's why.
High floor. And again, that's exactly what we've needed after what we had to go through the past, 5, 6 years.
It was difficult for me. So the reason I didn't have him, so I had him at 14. So the reason I didn't have him in like the top 10 is because it was difficult for me to pick any one individual offensive lineman. I ended up having Pat Elflein ranked the highest out of all the offensive linemen because he makes the line calls, and the run game seems to ebb and flow with not only how well he's playing, but whether or not he's on the field. Riley Reef, I think that it's easier to cover for a tackle than it is for a guard. I'm one of the few people that thinks that if there was a wider variance in play in guards, that guards would be more valuable than tackles. I think that you can maybe hide a tackle a little bit unless you've got 2 bad tackles. And he's fine. He's in my top 15, obviously. And how he plays is going to impact how the Vikings play, but just not as much as a lot of these other players because you can cover for them, whereas I don't think you can cover if Pat Elflein is just playing badly.
Yeah. So that was Riley Reef. Number 8, ESPN 8, the Ocho. Daniil Hunter.
Yeah, I had Daniil Hunter at 6. I think that he's obviously the future, really on, and he's kind of shown that he's able to play on both sides. I think he's probably maybe a little bit better on the left side, just because he's played majority of that in Everson Griffin and whatnot.
A little bit more comfortable there.
Yeah, definitely a little bit more comfortable. But I definitely like the maturation of him. I remember the when Daniil Hunter first got into the league, he was very, very much a stand-up defensive lineman.
And
now he's past couple of years he's got definitely put his hand more so in the dirt, which has been nice. He's learned a little bit more
muscular hand,
exactly,
like all veiny,
and he's only the fact that he is only 23.
It's so veiny.
He's not quite at his prime just yet. Just think he can play 6 more years and just be getting into his prime.
Isn't he younger than Aude Aruna?
Yeah,
are they both just 23?
Definitely
23.
could be. Yeah, and I think that speaks volumes too for a guy who's only 23. He's really only played 2 full seasons, or where are we at here? 3 full seasons. It's one of those where it's coming off an off year, and for all of us to still have him consensus in the top 10, number 8 even, shows you just, again, when he's on, how good he is, and really just how much potential we all see in him. How good, seriously, how dominant. He could be the best defensive end in the league.
Even though he had a drop-off in sacks, we all know that Hunter had a good year because we all watched You guys watch the tape.
Appreciate that.
I watch the games. I know what I see with my eyes.
I DVR.
Well, I don't actually have a life. I just watch football all day. I don't have a social life or anything like that.
Number 7, Everson Griffin. Pretty big jump in consensus points. Everson's had 37. Hunter at 8 had 28. Also funny, Everson was ranked for me, Yank, and Arif at 8, and then Luke had him at 3.
Whoop.
So this is Luke's
I
fault.
mean, that makes sense.
I think it's fair.
Hey, I don't think Luke's like way off on that. Yeah, he's important.
Did we get that on tape?
Analysis.
It's going to be my ringtone.
I don't think Luke's that far off. Okay, yeah. The highest
Best
praise
compliment I've ever gotten.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, we've ranked him lower, but really, a lot of this has to do with just kind of the recent evidence that's come out that suggests that pass coverage is more important than pass rushing in terms of defense. I want to see like a little bit more of it, but this was talked a lot, and so I have Xavier Rhodes, I think, higher than everybody else as a result. But this was talked about a little bit in terms of kind of the Pro Football Focus data that we have. There's really good papers put out by Eric Eager of Pro Football Focus, who's like a professor of statistics.
Who?
That friend of the show, Eric Eager,
My man.
that broke down PFF data and found that defensively it is more important to have better pass coverage than it is to have a better pass rush, which is obviously not to say that pass rush is unimportant. I still had Everson Griffin in the top 10, but
And why
with
is
that
exactly
in mind, well, I think
just
it's
a quick little.
because I think if you
Layman's
turn it into a 10-on-10 game, it's much more like it's hard to obviate a cornerback. It is easier to like chip a defensive end and still have a player kind of opening in and all that. And you change the possibilities or how impactful a play can be. If you're taking away a deep threat, for example, the maximum number of yards, unless you're running like 4 verts or 3 verts, the maximum number of yards you're going to get on the play is like 15. And that's what you're fighting for instead of 15 to 30, right? So I think that might be why. I don't know all of the evidence. Sure. There's some. Eric actually got into an argument with Brian Burke at ESPN, who does all their analytics work, developed Total QBR, about
Nerd
this.
fight.
Yeah, about this. And Burke has a solid theoretical foundation for his argument that pass rushers can cut off the play at the point of decision, right? Whereas the quarterback has 5 decisions to make, right? The 5 receivers. Whereas a cornerback can only cut off one of those. And I get why he thinks that way, but because cornerbacks impact essentially every play and pass rushers impact a fifth of the plays because they don't always get pressure, there's that difference where if you shut down the number 1 receiver, it might just matter more. So I still want to see kind of more discussion about
good.
this.
Just curious.
But if that's the case, then Everson Griffin ranks a little bit lower, and Xavier Rhodes and Harrison Smith rank a little bit higher. But also,
Harry
I
can
think
do it all if you want him to.
Yeah,
rush
right.
or-
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Whatever you need, whatever's in vogue right now, whatever's popular, he can do it.
That said, I put Everson below Anthony Barr, which is, I think, pretty unusual. I don't think linebackers are usually as important. Put Everson below Anthony Barr because I want to know if he's fully recovered from injury, and I know that the Vikings have multiple ways to create pressure, and that makes all of the pass rushers just a little bit less important. Because I took the important word to heart when I put this list together.
Importante. Next up, Adam Jerome, Ezekiel Thielen, coming in at 6, 43 points now with Thielen. I had him 10, Yinka had him 3, Reef 6, and Luke 2.
I had Adam.
Why do I hate Adam Thielen?
I had Adam Thielen at number 3 just because the data definitely supports as far as quarterback play, wide receivers hugely correlate to quarterbacks playing at a very, very high level as well as wins. Adam Thielen was such a huge part of the Vikings offense last year and the last couple of years.
I mean Case Keenum's accuracy.
Yes. Definitely, yes.
Laser.
And I think he'll continue to be, at least for the next few years, go. So I had him ranked really high just because I think that, I had him ranked 3, not 2, just because I think between the 2 wide receivers, I think Stephon Diggs can carry the offense a little bit more than Adam Thielen.
He can. He's more explosive for sure. I think it just really comes down to consistency and injuries with Diggs. And vice versa. It kind of opens you up a little bit to make you realize how consistent on the other hand. Thielen's been too, and I love the way he wins too, because he's not a matchup guy where week to week it's like, sorry, whatever, Dez, we got a big physical cornerback this week. We may not see you as much in the game plan. Thielen doesn't matter what type of cornerback, if that cornerback strength is speed or if it's size and physicality, the technician, right, the route running, that is just, again, in a day and age where, a lot of these receivers can get by on just pure freak athleticism. You love to see kind of an old school guy like Thielen be able to, again, win on stuff like great hands, technician, and somebody was it Brad Kelly put out a great
his release?
Yeah,
that was really good stuff.
And just went frame by frame of different ways he wins. And again, in a pass-happy league, it's so important to have that go-to number one kind of weapon in the passing game. Thielen, certainly that. Again, Diggs, if you were to play 16 games 2 years in a row, you could justify being in that spot. It's great to have two of them, but I think, take Thielen out and you realize, oh my gosh, this passing game without Thielen, oh my gosh, what a complete 180 that would be.
Yeah, Andy just corrected the ranks because I was going to point this out. So he actually tied with Xavier Rhodes for 5th, and he's only 2 points below Stephon Diggs. So no matter how we ranked it, they were going to be really close, and I think that's just like the truth, that they're really close.
Also,
they are. They're really
interesting thing is that Reef Yank and I all rank Stephon Diggs above Thielen, but also it's like we're sort of splitting hairs at this point.
Right, yeah, and that's exactly it. Luke's the only one that has a bigger split, and it's not even that big a split then.
Right. And I think, too, even now, the entire nation or NFL fan base understands that the Vikings do arguably have, if not, top three, the best 1-2 duo, 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I think so.
With Diggs and Thielen, and that's what we're talking about here, basically splitting hairs.
Yeah, and so the only reason I have Diggs above Thielen is I just think he's just a better receiver, and that's it. If Diggs gets injured, you mentioned that Thielen's a little bit more consistent. After injury, like even a couple of games after he's cleared from injury, Diggs isn't as productive.
Sure.
And so that's kind of an issue. So I totally get why you'd have Thielen above, but I just think Diggs is a better receiver, so I've got him just a hair above Thielen.
As Reef pointed out, tied for 5th, Xavier Rhodes tied with Adam Thielen. I had Rhodes 6, Yinka 7, Arif 3, and Luke 5. Arif was highest on him for some of the reasons that he talked about with Everson.
Coverage.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's not a bunch of receiver duos, especially in the division. So if you can take away the top receiver, it's even more impactful.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Detroit's the only one where I'm like, they got multiple receivers.
And now Bears are going to start to worry me a little bit, just with we all love Anthony Miller, and then the signing of Allen Robinson, and then Cameron Meredith kind of trailed off a little bit. But what if
there's a bunch of what if. I think with the Bears. Yeah.
Kevin White's still injured.
Kevin White's still a guy.
He's probably going to be injured tomorrow.
Yeah.
But
R.I.P.
But yeah, I think
they signed the Falcon guy too, right?
Harry Douglas.
Was it Douglas?
No, he's with Titans. Muhammad? No, he didn't. No.
No.
But I think just slightly more. I think there's an opportunity. That's
Gabriel.
It. For him to shut down a number one receiver that's really impactful. Even more than in other years. I think the schedule has a lot of receivers, a lot of teams where they rely a little bit more on one receiver than on two.
You know how Revis, when he was Darrelle Revis only 32, by the way. But when he
weird.
Back in the day,
is he still with Kansas City?
I think he's a free agent. But when Revis was Revis, the one guy who could always get him was Stevie Johnson.
I love that. Yeah. It was so funny to me.
Is Marvin Jones that to Xavier?
Maybe. So the biggest. So Marvin Jones's numbers against Rhodes are out of control. Yeah. Even after you remove a play that I think shouldn't count. That's the one where they with Terrence Newman and Xavier Rhodes running into each other. Yeah. Even if you take that away, Marvin Jones has a lot. Maybe that might be
hard knock star Marvin Jones. By the way, whatever happened to Larry Black? I remember he broke his ankle and then that was it. Actually, I think that was it for him. Number 4, Stephon Diggs, 45 points. I had him 7. Yinka had him 2. Arif 4 and Luke 6. Yinka, why do you love Stephon?
I love me some Stephon.
This receiver has everything.
I do. It just, I mean, selfishly, I love the swagger that he brings to the team.
Yep.
I think it's his impact on the when he's on the field is clear. I definitely feel more so than Adam Thielen. He can, if let's say Adam Thielen's out for a play, gets injured, I think he can carry the offense a little bit more. You obviously can move him around. He's a nightmare to move around. You can move him in the slot, move him on the outside. He has just played some traits to be able to be a little bit of a deep threat as well too.
Diggs is one of the best deep threat guys in the league, which surprises a lot of people. Like straight jump ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Too.
And that's what I was going to mention is something that I was a little bit skeptical about Diggs is, first couple of years in the league, he didn't really show himself to be as much of a contested catch kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And definitely last year, you saw him take a huge leap into contested catching.
Week 1, just stemming on your point, not to interrupt, week 1, the Saints game, remember the not one, but two monster licks he
took him away.
And in tight coverage, in contested area, and for him to hold on to those balls, I think on Monday Night Football woke everybody was
I think this was week 1, but this is one of my favorite catches I've ever seen, where the ball was thrown. Basically, it was at the defender essentially, and it was like a 7-yard out or something.
Yeah, like 25, 30-yard line ish.
Maybe.
Okay.
But it was at the sideline, and Diggs at the very last second creates separation, moves back, and catches the ball inside the other guy's frame. At the sideline and comes down with the ball. It was one of the best catches I've ever seen. Both Diggs and Thielen have extraordinarily ball tracking and ball awareness and deep, intermediate, short, and that's helped, I think, with their contested catch thing. I'm a little bit worried about whether or not Diggs' contested catch ability is a fluke or if it's not from this last year, because that kind of stuff is subject to a lot of variance. But I think he's always been a little bit better at contested catches than we've kind of given him credit for. He just happened to have his best year. He'll probably regress, down a little bit, but he'll still be good at it, and that's nice.
Because that was actually, or I think either last year before the season started, that was one of my knocks. I wrote an article about him. It's like, as it pertains to guys in the red zone, Diggs was not the guy that was consistently winning in the red zone. I mean, obviously scheme played a role, but it's kind of like what you said. We definitely saw a huge jump from previous years to this year, especially him winning in the red zone and whatnot. So
everybody loves the home run play, the splash play, but stemming to what Arif said, his favorite catch, some of both Thielen and Diggs put on a pure display of just like art almost with their route running and technique and release off the line, and they end up being on the box score a 7-yard catch.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And nobody ever talks about it again. But when you go back and watch a film like we do, I think that's when you really gain a true appreciation for how good both these guys are.
What's actually crazy about that? Because it's not like in training camp or OTAs. They were spending all this time with Case Keenum, so it's like, it's not like okay, well, we're used to this guy. This is what he's going to be doing all year long. So it's like they already innately had that ability to just track the ball constantly and just, I don't know. I'm the person that's going to get the ball more times than not.
It's wild, dude.
Speaking of, Keenum's in a pretty good situation in Denver. Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Cortland Sutton
now.
Yeah.
They drafted a running back, too?
Royce.
Yeah. And they really like D'Angelo Henderson, I think his name is.
Yeah, maybe.
From Coastal Carolina last year.
They might like him, but they also drafted running backs. So.
Also, something I like is finishing up our top 3 in hour 2. We'll
Andy's
do that.
Just trying to move us.
Also, phone calls and your tweets and. I don't know. Talk about Royal Wedding. Who knows? Shows available on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, zonecoverage.com/machine. But for Luke and Arif and Yinka and Tom, I'm Andy saying Andy on Sayonara. Bye. This hour 2. Follow all of us on Twitter. I'm at Andy Carlson Show. Luke is at Luke_Spinman. Arif at Arif Hassan NFL. The theme song for the show is Let It Burn by Cold Kingdom. For more info and show dates, visit coldkingdom.com and follow them on Twitter at Cold Kingdom Band. Get all the Andy, Luke, and Arif Football Machine shows on iTunes, on Stitcher, and of course at coldomaha.com/football machine. It'll cure what ails you. Just do it. Do it now.
The Zone Coverage Podcast Network.